Hello and welcome to Billy Ho Sports. Time for another update on the 2024 Kentucky Derby Trail. Big weekend at Gulfstream, obviously unleashing fierceness in the Florida Derby, and over at Oaklawn Park will be haunted by the spirited performance by the Bob Baffert colt that will be what could have been cautionary type tail and Muth winning. And so I appreciate you joining me as we reflect on the weekend's events. We'll also take a look at the UAE Derby. So stick around for that big race. So this and every Derby video will be all in my playlist. That's not only helpful for the upcoming races, but I come to realize that as we approach and finish off these prep races, like this weekend, we have the big three over here at Keeneland, close by me, up north in New York, the Gotham, no, not Gotham, good God, Wood Memorial, sorry, Santa Anita Derby out west, all those races. Then we'll have the one last ditch effort prep. But once those are completed, you'll have an entire 6-month span practically of prep races, of previews, profiles. You can see how these horses developed, good races and bad, good trips and bad, weather conditions and all that great stuff, all in one place. So as always, please subscribe to the channel. Very much appreciated. Helps me a ton. Smash that like button even so. And also comments are also equally important. So tell me who your maybe top 5 contenders are. And if you have any possible sleepers, like not your fiercenesses or your, top dogs like that. And let's get to it. We begin in Hallandale Beach, Florida, at Gulfstream Park for the Florida Derby. Fierceness came into this race off his upset loss to in the Holy Bull at the hands of Hades. He also got caught by that slow pace and not quite being at full strength, admittedly, by trainer Todd Pletcher. So the son of City of Light broke very swiftly from post 10, went right out to the front, pressed the pace early on, and dictated the pace. By the time they made the midway point, he was starting to inch his way further and further away. By the time the 3/4 pole came around, he was out even further, pushing further away, and nobody was keeping up with him. Catalytic looked pretty good. Chasing him in second. Grandmo the first, which was one of my sleepers, looked really good running as well. But he had extended the 8 lengths and was well clear by the time they entered the top of the stretch. Then he powered home by 13.5. So that's Todd Pletcher's 8th Florida Derby victory, already extending his record in that department. Johnny V has the record for the most rides. Despite the subpar showing in the Holy Bull, Fierceness was on his point, sent to the post as the even money favorite. Didn't disappoint us. I was all over him. He earned a whopping 110 buyer speed figure for that race. Likely going to be your morning line favorite for the Kentucky Derby, which is kind of scary in a sense, because if you followed his career thus far, he's shown up with these monster races, and then he's come back and been a little bit more on the mediocre side. And this even goes back to further before the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to cobble together your picks down the road. Like I said, Catalytic, trained by Saffie Joseph Jr., was making his stakes debut, only his 3rd career start, held on to finish second, and earned a very valuable 50 points. And that should be enough to get him and his connections into the Kentucky Derby. He was 2.5 lengths ahead of Grandmo the First, who nosed out the 5-2 second choice Conquest Warrior, who was a bit of a disappointment there. Grandmo the First, he now has 40 points, and that might be just enough. I feel like that 40 is kind of like your cut line in golf. Is it going to be, this many horses at 40 points and then any, all, or are they going to be the also eligibles? A lot's going to happen in this weekend and depend on who runs where. So, because a second place finish is going to give you 50 points, and that'll pole vault right over the top of horses like Grand Mo and anybody that doesn't have 50. So if you get a surprise second place horse, a lot of these prospects are going to get bumped. And I think if Grand Mo the first was to move to an also eligible, he might point to another race. I like the Pat Day Mile for him because his front running style and speed, he keeps up very well. I think he could win that race. So later that afternoon, Hot Springs, Arkansas, anticipation high for the Arkansas Derby. Timberlake, trained by Brad Cox, came into the race as the even money favorite off his impressive score in the Rebel Stakes. We hadn't seen Muth in a little while since he just kind of had that San Vicente win way back in January. So he went off as the 2-1 second choice. I myself in my preview video had him kind of 1 and 1A. And I did mention in the preview video, I would probably side with Brad Cox, but looking at the tote board, I got two horses that I think have equal opportunity to win this race. I'm going to take the value at 2-1. So I bet my money on Muth. And I love Bob Baffert too. I've made that he's not like it's Brad Cox is just a local trainer. He's a good dude. I met him once before a long time ago. Very gracious. So anyway, we begin, Time for Truth got out to the lead, but it wasn't long before Juan Hernandez on Muth was striding right alongside Timberlake. If you saw him try to challenge right in between horses in the early backstretch, and I think he moved a little bit too soon. Muth responded. He took the lead, and then Muth just tracked right along his rival at second. And then Muth dipped his head about the 3/4 pole in front and then took over in the stretch, powering home. He looks very strong, well clear as he crossed the wire by 2. Just Steele, redemption race for him. I was very happy to see that for Dwayne Lucas. I thought maybe he wheeled back a little bit too soon in the previous Rebel, and he didn't quite get there. And so he had I believe, like about an extra week or so rest instead of the 3 weeks. So he was, and he's going to have he might be kind of this wise guy sleeper horse. Dwayne Lucas to win another Kentucky Derby at his age would be just insane because he's going to have a nice rest leading up to May 4th, just about 5 weeks. That's perfect. So anyway, Just Steele, plenty of points he's in. Muth, obviously not. Muth will probably point to the Preakness. Very disappointing that he's not going to be able to show his stuff in the Kentucky Derby. Mystic Dan filled out the trifecta, but he wasn't much of a match for any of the top 2. He kind of got shuffled back in the race early. I don't know if that was on purpose, but it looked like to me at the break, he broke wide and he either didn't get out fast enough or something happened. I couldn't tell, but he did not get to the front fast enough. He was too slow out of the gate, got caught wide. He was a little bit bothered, and then he got shuffled way back, and he never fired. So Timberlake is definitely going to have to regroup because he kind of weakened in the stretch. Like I said, he tried to make that move too early, and I think he burned up just a little bit too much juice there. He's going to head to Louisville. Mystic Dan might just have enough with 46 points to get in. But like I said, anything below 50 is probably going to be like on that cut line. So we'll have to see about that. Now, we're going to finish up the recap with where we began the day. Meydan Racetrack for the UAE Derby. It was earlier in the day, somewhere around lunchtime. We witnessed another superior closing effort from maybe the best Japan bred horse entering the Kentucky Derby yet. I know they've developed into, Dermisotogake and, Ushba Tesoro and horses like that have developed as 4-year-olds to be very good, but neither one of them were all that great. I think they've, 5th, 6th, but this horse looks super legit. They break from the gate. He got shuffled back into stalking position mid-pack. Upset hopeful Autobahn, the number 1 horse, took right to the lead. He was right there with the number 2 Oasis Boy, number 10 Mendelssohn Bay right there in third. So it kind of went that way for a while. Then as they make this turn for home, Oasis Boy just kind of had enough. He faded away, but Autobahn was keen to try to steal this one as he separated, and you can see the number 5 Forever Young on the outside making his huge move around the corner to engage the leaders, and then those two separated by much open links. And so Forever Young now in position to impose his will down the stretch, caught him at about the last 100 meters. The Japan Star had clear sailing to the wire. And Autobahn, very impressive effort at long odds, was pretty tight himself. Mendelssohn Bay, not super impressive, very distant third. So now Forever Young is headed to Louisville. Should be garnering, I think he'll arrive somewhere around April 10th in that range. And they should be garnering quite a bit of buzz, I'd say, as we get closer to the big day. So looking forward to that. I always love when these horses start arriving. Some of them are already here. And then you just start getting that buzz around Churchill Downs. I think I'm going to make a few trips out to Churchill Downs for Derby week and maybe some Dawn at the Downs action. So I'll probably be doing some content on that, maybe how some of these horses look in the morning, things of that nature. So just to wrap things up, I listed the top 26 in points as of today. You can see I have the 2 Japan horses. There's one called T.O. Password, who I believe won the points. You know, obviously he got 100 points. Forever Young's in the race. UAE Derby doesn't even count for the Japan invite. So he earned his own way in. But T.O. Password, I believe, had the most points, just a little bit more than Ramjet. So I think he's going to get the invite. And if he turns it down, and then I think Ramjet will go. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. I just looked at the points and I just saw T.O. Password had more points than Ramjet. So anyway, big weekend coming up. Wood Memorial, Aqueduct, Bluegrass Stakes, Keeneland. Keeneland opens up. It's always awesome when Keeneland opens up in the spring. It's such a great place to go. I might try to get out there, make the trip over, but who knows what's going to happen. Santa Anita Derby will be out west. That's going to be great. There's a big field for that one. Pretty strong field. So be on the lookout for preview videos for all that stuff. And until then, I thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.